So you were a Pro Bowler a couple of times.
Just one time.
Just one time.
Yeah.
How's that experience?
It was awesome, man. I didn't go to my Pro Bowl till my 10th year in the league. So I've been in the league for a long time, but I was able to take my family to Hawaii. You know, back then the Pro Bowl was in Hawaii. So I kind of shortchanged those guys these years. These days they got to go to Orlando, and Orlando's a fine place, but it's not like going to Hawaii. Yeah. So, but I was able to fly out my parents and my brothers and sisters and my wife and kids, of course. And it was a great experience to be able to get in the huddle, and Peyton Manning's the quarterback. I had a bunch of my teammates there with me, guys like Dwayne Brown, Arian Foster, Andre Johnson, Owen Daniels. There was a bunch of guys there. I think we had 9 guys go to the Pro Bowl that year. That was after the 2012 season.
We were 14-2 that year?
I believe we went 12-4.
12-4. Yeah,
12-4 that year. Yeah, we started off the season 11-1, and we ended up 12-4.
12-4. Yeah. That was a great year, huh?
Yeah. That was a great year, but you know what? The best team that I was on was the year before that in 2011. 2011, if you go back and look at that team, man, like the amount of Pro Bowlers that were on that roster either at that time, a year before, or like a year or so after, it's ridiculous. It was probably out of 22 starters, you had like 16 Pro Bowlers on that roster. And the only problem was our starting quarterback, Matt Schaub, got hurt probably in the 10th game of the year. And so we ended up having a rookie playing, and he did well for us, helped us get to the playoffs. I got T.J. Yates, but we struggled in the playoff game against Baltimore on the road. But when people ask me, like, have you ever played on a Super Bowl or played in the Super Bowl before? I'm like, nah, but I've played on a Super Bowl caliber team before. Like, we had a bunch of injuries that year. Andre Johnson played I believe he played 7 games that year. But we still balled.
You think we had Super Bowl caliber team that year?
For sure. Like, I don't think I know it. Like, the year after I left the Texans, I went to Seattle. Seattle had just won the Super Bowl the year before that, right? I was in their locker room. I could feel the vibe in there, and I was like, this feels like what it felt like in 2011, where we lose Mario Williams for the season. He had 6 sacks in 6 games. Then he's out for the year. But then we got a young guy like Brooks Reed comes in there and balls out. Has his best year in his career, his rookie year. We had a bunch of dogs on that team. We had a squad, and so we had Arian Foster had over 1,300 yards. Our backup running back had 950 some yards.
Who was the backup running back?
Ben Tate.
Ben Tate.
Yeah. So our offensive line. Arguably the best offensive line in the league that year. It was Dwayne, myself, Chris Myers, Mike Brazel, Eric Winston. Oh, yeah. All those guys either went to a Pro Bowl, got our Pro votes, whatever. Yeah. You have a really good offensive line, you got a chance. And so we started off the season 7-3, lost our quarterback, ended up making the playoffs. That was the first year we went to the playoffs as an organization, won the division, won our first playoff game handily. Went to Baltimore. We turned the ball over 4 times. Can't win. Lost by a touchdown. We turned over 4 times. Lost by a touchdown. We were better than that day. If you go back and look at the tape, we was kicking their ass up and down the field. But you turn the ball over, you can't win. Not against a good team.
Not against a good team.
Yeah.
Who won the Super Bowl that year?
But I think that was the year that the Patriots might have went and lost maybe that year. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
I think that was the year that they went and lost because Baltimore beat us and then lost to the Patriots. Yeah. But I think the Patriots might have lost to the Giants that year.
New York Giants.
Yeah, I think they might have lost to the Giants that year. They might have.
So what do you think? You're ambassador for Texans. What does that mean?
Basically, I go out and do autograph signing events, maybe on the day of the game, or I'll go to different youth camps like Play 60 events, or I'll go speak at school. So like a lot of the stuff that I do on my own with the Wade Smith Foundation, I do similar things with the Texans. So, but in that role, I'm a Texans ambassador for my own foundation. I'm executive director of the Wade Smith Foundation. And so anything that has to do with setting positive example for kids and I'm talking to them about the importance of reading or talking to them about the importance of nutrition and, being able to use good time management, all those type of things. So we do that. And sometimes they might have me go into a suite and hang out with some VIPs or whatever and just chop it up with them.
So now let me ask you a question. You grew up in Dallas. Did you grow up as a Dallas Cowboys fan?
I hated them. Yeah. I absolutely hated the Cowboys as a kid.
Oh, yeah?
Because
you were who's Who was
So
your team?
I was a big 49ers and Bears fan growing up
Okay.
because my two favorite players were Walter Payton and Jerry Rice. And my dad, he grew up like in the DC area, so he's a big Redskins fan. He told me as a little kid, like, you can like anybody except the Cowboys. So when you're 4 or 5 years old, your dad tells you can like anybody but the Cowboys. You listen.
You
so
listen.
I didn't mess with the Cowboys. And then the Cowboys were trash. They were bad. Like when I was growing up in elementary schools, when I was really starting to watch football, they were a bad football team. And you couldn't find a Cowboy fan anywhere. The only Cowboy fans I knew were my mom and my grandma. And that was it. But then all of a sudden they started winning. Jimmy Johnson comes in there. They start winning all these championships. Everybody got a Cowboy starter jacket on. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, you couldn't watch the games. The games were blacked out. You couldn't watch them on TV.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all of a sudden, everybody's Cowboys fans. So that made me resent them even more.
Yeah.
Because they were winning Super Bowls and having parades, and people was rioting at parades and stuff. I'm like, y'all doing this all over the Cowboys, man. And so I didn't stop hating the Cowboys until it was time for the draft. Once business came involved, I was like, oh, if Dallas want to draft me, that's cool.
That's cool.
I mean, I'm at
So you got drafted by the Dolphins, though.
I got drafted by the Dolphins.
What did you think about that?
What part of it? I mean, when I got drafted, first of all, I was at my grandma's house in Oak Cliff. That was a great experience. I got drafted on my birthday.
Oh, okay.
On my 22nd birthday, and this was back when 50 Cent had the song in the club.
Oh.
So go Shawty.
It's
It's your
your
birthday. So when I got drafted, that was playing in the background. Like, it was a great experience.
So you did it at your grandma's house.
Yeah.
Everybody was there. Did you know
Everybody
that you were going to be a third rounder? Or, I mean, how does that work? Tell me that.
So coming from Memphis, you know what I mean, it's not a powerhouse. It's gotten a lot better now since I've been there. But in recent about 10 years, Memphis has become a more substantial program. But back then it wasn't. And so going into the combine, I think my draft grade was like 7th round free agent. That was what my draft grade was going into the combine. I went to the combine and my draft stock shot up. And then my agent was saying, like, you're going to get picked in the 3rd round, 2nd or 3rd round at the latest. And so that's what it ended up being. But I had a position change. So when I went to the University of Memphis, I was a tight end.
Yeah.
So I played tight end and fullback my first 2 years with Memphis. And then we had a coaching change, had an offensive scheme change. They started doing the spread offense. So I moved off. They asked me to move to offensive line. And I almost transferred out of school, like, nah, because I had started games as a freshman and sophomore at tight end, and the tight end that was the man went to the NFL. So now it's my turn to be the man at tight end, but then it's like we run the spread offense. We don't use the tight ends anymore. So it's like either you can move to defensive line because we want you to play. You need to play. You're too good to not play, but you're not going to get good use at tight end. So it's like you can move to defensive line and move to offensive line. And so, you know, he was like, my coach brought me into the office. This is like before spring break. He said, think over it over spring break, but come back. He was like, make sure you come back. I guess he could probably see on my face that I wasn't really too high on the idea. But I went back to my apartment and was talking to my roommate, telling him about it. And he was like, man, and he was the starting center on the team. And he was like, bro, if you move the whole line down, you'll do good at it. Just trust me, you'll love it. And my head coach, Tommy West, he told me, he said, hey, man, if you switch position, you'll end up being one of the most athletic tackles in the draft, and you'll play in the NFL for 10 years. This is what he told me when I'm sitting in the office as he's telling me, you're going to have to switch positions. So he ended up being exactly right. I didn't play 10 years. I played 12 years, but I was one of the most athletic guys in the draft, shot up the board, and so that's how it kind of went.
That's how it kind of went. So now tell me, you know, because people who don't know the process, when we are watching the draft, we are like, you know, everybody, you know, they're in the 3rd round, they're in the 4th round. They don't know what round they're going to be in. The whole family's there. It's a party going on at the house or whatever. You know, most of the people who are in the 1st round, they're right there in the auditorium.
Yeah.
The 2nd, 3rd, well, some of the 2nd are too, but the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 3rd and 4th round, they're basically sitting at home.
Yeah.
So I mean, how does that process go?
So you got to think back then, the draft 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round used to be on the first day. Now it's like the first round is on one day, I believe. The second and third are on the second day, and then 4th through 7th are on the 3rd day.
Right.
They stretched it out because the NFL is all about making bread, and they do a great job of it. And so they figured out a way to stretch it out so they can make more money off of it. And so, but back then it was 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round. So we knew when the first round of draft is going on, I know I'm not going to get drafted. I'm just looking to see some of the dudes that I met at the combine, might have played against, played with some of my buddies to see where they get drafted and stuff like that. And the place you can see by where they get drafted, how that might affect you personally, because you know there's certain teams that's looking at you, and certain teams that might want you to come to their place. If they draft somebody in your position, then you're like, all right, that might eliminate that team. But I'm at my grandma's house. It's my birthday. My grandma cooked. I'm eating good. Aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody's there. So we just having a party, playing dominoes or whatever. By the time the third round hit, though, it's like, all right, it's finna start close to that time. And he had been there for about, 5-6 hours at this point. And so, I was playing dominoes with my brother and my best friend. And then I was like, man, I need to go outside for a second and get some fresh air, because I felt like it was something was finna happen soon. And so I go outside. I get a call, and it's the 305 number on there. I said, 305, that's Miami. I get on the phone, and it's the GM of the Dolphins. His name is Rick Spielman. I think he's with the Vikings now, but he was like, hey, are you ready to be a Miami Dolphin? Like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? So my brother and my best friend are outside with me, but I guess some of my family members could see what was going on. And so I'm like, yo, I'm going to Miami. And it was a great feeling, man, just to be there with all of my family and friends, people that had been there since I was a little kid, running around the house with a football in my hand. They got to share that experience with me, and so that was great.
So was the camera over there?
No, we have.
So a lot of now the cameraman is there.
Yeah, I mean, depending on who it is, what PR company they might have, because that's all that is. Back in the day, like, I didn't know anything about none of that. You're talking about being absolutely green. I went to a Memphis that wasn't a big-time university. So, when I went to the combine, I didn't wear the right type of shoes to run fast. I didn't know the tricks of the trade to kind of game the system on different things. I was just absolutely green. So I think I was a late bloomer, because I just had to see things for myself and figure things out as I went. But I would have never even thought to have like a PR company or a camera crew there filming that experience. Like, that was just something.
So let me ask you a question then. So nowadays, when we see the draft and there's camera crew already there, and you're doing the phone call in front of the TV, the camera. All that is like a PR related.
That stuff is all pre-planned and set up.
It's pre-planned and set up.
No question about it. And so it's kind of jacked up sometimes when you call some of those kids. Or their people will call the local news station and say, hey, be at this person's house because they're going to get drafted at this time, and then they don't go when they're supposed to. And there's a lot of long faces in there, people looking sad and all that type of stuff. But at the same time, if you have somebody to capture it, like, I would have loved to been able to capture that moment. Looking back on it, if I could have just every now and again just pop in the tape of, like, this is when they called me and the feelings and stuff I went through, that would have been great. But I never – that type of thing didn't even cross my mind at all way back then. So
when you played for Miami, Chris Long was there?
No, we didn't. No? Chris Long, I don't think Chris Long ever played for the Dolphins.
Did he get drafted for the Dolphins? So he won Howie Long's son.
Yeah, he went to, where did he get drafted by? Chris Long was.
He won the championship with Patriots one year.
Yeah, but he I think he got drafted by the Rams, man. I think he was drafted by the Rams.
Okay, maybe
if I remember right, I believe it was the Rams. Yeah, he never was with the Dolphins.
He was never with the Dolphins. Yeah. So when you were with the Dolphins, and then you ended up coming to Houston Texans. A lot of people, a lot of athletes nowadays, they love the Miami scene. It's just so much glitz and glamour. Yeah. And you moved to Houston, and then you ended up making Houston your home. Tell us a little bit about that.
So when I was drafted by Miami, I was also married probably 6 months after I came to Miami. I got married in October. I got drafted in April. So the time between April and October, I was already engaged, but I got married in October, like on a Tuesday during during a normal game week. I just got married on a Tuesday. And so I lived like on the west side of South Florida. So like Pembroke Pines, so it's the suburbs. I went to South Beach a total of probably 3-4 times, and I was down there. And every time I went to South Beach, something crazy happened. Like, something went on. So I wasn't really in the streets like that, and I was green. And so I was like, man, I'm just going to stay at the crib. I'm not finna get into too much stuff. So that whole, South Beach lifestyle, I already knew. I was one of them type of people that understood, like, hey, if I get too involved with some of this, I'm going to end up getting myself into some trouble, so I'm going to stay away from it. I'm just focusing on ball, focusing on my family, all that type of stuff. So that's what I did early on in my career. And so I was with Miami for 3 years. Then I went to the Jets for 2 years. Then I went to the Chiefs for 2 years before I came here.
Yeah, you went to Chiefs.
Before I came here to Houston. So when I came here to Houston, I was a free agent. And I had multiple visits. I went to Buffalo and to Arizona, here to Houston. But Houston was a huge front runner with me coming to here because it felt like being recruited all over again in college. But I was like, listen, if I can get back to my home state, I can get back to where my parents and my family can come see every home game. Houston was an up-and-coming team at the time. The year before I got here, they were 9-7. They missed the playoffs by a tiebreaker. So I was like, hey, I want to help put them over the hump. They were talked about it, saying they had their offensive line was soft at the time. And so I was like, I'm gonna come in here and we're gonna have I'm gonna come in with some dog mentality and we're gonna be a better offensive line. And the first year I got here, Arian Foster won the rushing title that year. He had over 1,600 yards. And so I helped make that happen. So I was great. I was great with my decision to come here to Houston, and I love the state of Texas. And then people asked me when I first got here, like, hey, you gonna come back to Dallas after you get done playing football? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come back to Dallas. That's where I'm gonna grow up. I mean, that's where I'm gonna raise my family. But the longer I was here, I was like, man, I love it here. There's no reason for me to go. And this city is so diverse. Like, my neighborhood is so diverse. My street is so diverse that you can't get. I don't know anywhere else where you can get that, where you can get a whole bunch of people that don't look like you and a whole bunch of people that do look like you that are successful, and you all live in the same neighborhood. It's just, I know there's no place like that in Dallas. There's no place like that I've seen around the country. But here in Houston, it's like that. And so I love the fact that my kids are growing up in an environment where there really is no majority. Everybody around them has some sort of success in their lives. And so now you're growing up with different cultures. You're going around and learning from different people. And so it's going to help you be a more well-rounded individual once you go out into the world. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not leaving here. So I've been here ever since. I've been here 10 years now.
So besides the diversity, what is one more thing, or a couple more things you like about Houston?
I mean, it's Texas, so there's gonna be great food everywhere. You know what I mean?
I was hoping that you'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, there's great food everywhere here in Houston, and so you can't go wrong there. You can't go wrong with just the way people interact with one another. It's very. I mean, I feel like when you're here, you feel like you at home. You know what I mean? And me growing up in Dallas and being from Texas is different. Like, when you leave the state of Texas and people say, hey, where are you from? Whatever city you say in Texas, they're going to be like, oh, you from Texas. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, we just have a different mentality here. It's probably the most prideful state in out of 50. You know what I mean? United States of America. When people from Texas, they be like, yeah, I'm from Texas. Like, I represent Texas. And so I love that about it. I love the area that my kids have grown up in, the schools that are there, and there's a lot of things to love about the city.
So tell me, food. You said you love the food. So if you were to take your family on Friday evening, what kind of food are y'all eating as a family?
Oh, that's a good question, man. I mean, if it depends on what's going on. I'm gonna eat some.
Give me a couple of good genres of food you like.
I'm a big barbecue guy, so I go to Ray's Real Barbecue Pit over. You go
support your boy Herb over there.
Yeah, no question about it. I'm gonna go see him when I get a chance to, and so I know when I go there to eat, I'm gonna be sleepy afterwards, and I'm gonna go home and lay down and just chill for the rest of the day because we eat real big over there. But there's a lot of great steakhouses around the city. There's Killings, and you could throw a rock and find a great restaurant. You know what I mean? If you want to eat some paleo food, you go to Ruggles Black. You know what I mean? If you want to,
that's good.
It's good food.
She got keto now too.
Keto, paleo, all that stuff. Yeah,
I like that food. It has that Indian fusion spice.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about Houston, man. You gonna fuse all different types of stuff together. You get you some good Torchy's tacos. It's just, man, it's a lot of different.
Whatever kind of food you want.
You're trying to make me hungry right now. I ain't eaten yet this morning, man.
Whatever kind of food you want to get, you want some crawfish. There's several kind of
You
crawfish.
can go to LA Fisherman, get you some crawfish.
You want Vietnamese crawfish, Cajun crawfish, whatever. You want Indian food, you got some Indian food. You want some
of this
Vietnamese
and some
pho.
of that.
You're
that's one
right.
thing that I never tasted before until I got here to Houston was some Vietnamese pho. I'm like, I always thought it was pho. You know what I mean? I just say it was like, what's that pho? What's that? I actually tried it here. That's some damn good stuff. I probably need to get me some now. My voice a little raspy.
Maybe ramen will be good. And that's another big thing coming up. Ramen soup.
Yeah. Well, that was a big thing in college.
Ramen.
Ramen in college. Ramen.
I'm not talking about ramen noodles.
Yeah, I'm talking about ramen noodles. And we didn't call them ramen. We called them Roman noodles. I don't know what y'all call them, but we call them Roman noodles. And so when people talk about
we had ramen
people
noodles.
talk about eating ramen, I'm like, nah, I'm cool on that, man.
Yeah.
I had my fill of that growing up. Yeah. Now I will still eat me some Popeyes though. Don't get that twisted. You ever had Popeyes before?
Popeyes.
Not Popeyes.
Popeyes, of course, Popeyes, of course.
Okay, yeah. So.
Hey, listen, you know what? I grew up, kind of poor.
Yeah.
So ramen noodles, pot pies, anything I could get.
Yeah.
That's what we were eating then.
Really?
Let me tell you what, I haven't shared this with a lot of people, but every time I would tell my dad, hey dad, we're gonna go out somewhere, my dad say, yeah, let's go. We'll go to Burger King because the Whopper was only 99 cents.
Yeah, 99 cents.
And that was family dinner for us.
Yeah, that got me through college, bro. That got me through college.
So and we couldn't get fries. My mom wouldn't let us get fries. We'd have to get 2 fries and we all had to share. Because because Whopper was 99 cents. So she was like, if you're hungry, get 2 Whoppers.
Yeah.
But you can't eat fries. We gotta all share the fries. So I've had my share of the humble beginnings.
Yeah, man. Get you some 99-cent Whoppers and then go to the dollar store and get you some 99-cent chips. But it'll be a big bag if you get it from the dollar store.
Yeah.
And I would get 3. That was my weekends. 3 Whoppers and 3 bags of chips.
And so that's what college. We'll do. That's crazy you saying that because my mom will bring, we'll go get the Whopper, bring it home, and then she'll have the Lay's potato chips that she'll buy from O'Shawn's.
Yeah.
For 39 cents.
Already.
So but let me, I appreciate you coming over here. Let me ask you, is there something someone always, if someone always talks to you, is there something that you always wish people would ask you but nobody ever asked you?
Something that people wish they would ask me that they never asked me.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's a good question. I'd have to really think on that. I wish they would ask me because a lot of people. I wish people would ask me when they talk to me about the kids that I affect. Just ask me the different stories of the different interactions that I have with them and what a difference that it does make if they cared more about that. A lot of times when you're out and about and you're doing these events and socialites and philanthropists and all the type of stuff, and it's like, oh Wade, like he's awesome, he does great things, he does stuff, but like no, it's deeper than that. It's very hands-on. It's very ground level. It's very grassroots. And so those people that really care about those stories, those are the ones that I really appreciate.
Share one that stands to you that you can say, you know what, let me share this one.
Well, I'll give a story. This won't be a youth story, but this will be one of my college kids. So I have a kid that he's not a kid now. He's graduated from the University of Houston now. But you have a guy that went to Lamar High School, used the scholarship money that he was able to receive through the Smitty scholarship program to get him all the way through college to where when he graduated college, he was debt-free. He's got an engineering degree, doing great things around the city of Houston. And so those are the type of situations when they happen, you think to yourself like, man, I understand this is why I do it. This is why I do it. When you can bring people with you to Reading with the Pros and see how the kids interact and see when you have conversations, anytime you can get one-on-one in front of a small group of kids and do Q&A with them and have them basically get on an eye level with you and understand that at one point you used to be like them, but you are a success in life and you made it. You're a boss. I want to be a boss too. This guy is going to explain to me how to make it happen. And they have that aha moment like, wow, okay. Or like that cosign, like I love reading books, but usually I get made fun of for reading books, but they said it's cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They said that it's okay. And you see the faces in the crowd, you see them light up, you see the smiles, you see the little girls that see, a chef on the panel or a female police officer, somebody they identify with, they look up there, man, I want to be just like them. You know what I mean? And so that's a cool feeling. The thing that I do with the Reading with the Pros program is I get a really diverse group of people to be up there on that panel. I'll have some current and former NFL players and athletes, but I have business owners like you, like Nira from Ruggles Black. I have business owners like Herb. I have doctors, police officers, firefighters, just professionals and all different chefs, radio disc jockeys, TV reporters. So all these people that have to utilize literacy and reading on a daily basis in order for them to continue to live out their dream. But at the same time, it lets them know that, hey, if they can make it, you can make it as well. They used to be just like you, and I try to make sure that there's a good representation on that stage to where whatever group of kids I'm talking to, they see somebody up there that reminds them of themselves. And so if they can make that, if they can relate that back to like they look just like me, or that looks like my uncle, or that looks like my aunt, and they're telling me to do this. Anytime, like, that's the thing about kids, man. I have my kids, I talk to kids all the time, right? And I tell them X, Y, Z, and they listen because I'm Wade Smith. I played for the Texans. I tell my kids the same thing, but they're just like, you're just dad. Like, all right, dad, whatever. And it takes them making mistakes if you're talking about, oh, well, dad was right. But anytime you can get somebody that supposedly has status that's not their parents telling the kids something, they perk up and they listen. It's not their teachers that they see each and every day. It's not their parents that they see each and every day. These are people that they look at on TV and they say, wow, they're telling me this is what it is. Like, I'm gonna listen to this.
Listen to that. Yeah, that's true. Wait, so what is in Wade Smith's future? I mean, you're still a young guy.
Yeah.
What are you, 39, 38?
I'm 38. That's a great question. I'm a day-to-day guy, but I'm also a futuristic guy. Eventually, I'm going to find myself coaching somewhere. I mean, eventually, I'm going to end up coaching at the high school football level, and if not there, at the NFL level. That's something I've always been a teacher. You know what I mean? Even though when I played the game, I taught the game too for people that might have been there to take my job or people that was there beside me teaching the game of football. I love everything. That's why I talk about sports on Sports Radio 610, is because I'm teaching. It's an opportunity for me to talk about and teach the game to the masses, people that aren't there on a ground level each and every day. I like teaching. And so eventually I'm going to get into that. But the thing right now is the most important thing to me is to be the best dad I can be. And so in being present. And so by me being a dad and caring that much about being there for my kids, being a coach, those things don't jive. They don't jive. An NFL coach in time is something that you don't have a lot of it.
How old is your youngest?
How old is the youngest? My youngest daughter is 2. 2 years old. So, but see, the thing about my youngest is she's 2. And so if she grows up a certain type of way, it's not going to be an issue for her. In other words, like my 2 oldest kids, they grew up at a young age moving all over the place. Yeah. Right? So they were used to that. But then once we settled down, it was like, all right, now it's been this way for about 6 years, 7 years. Like once we got here to Houston, they've been here in Houston for 10 straight years. So I'm not finna mess that up. They're gonna have to get out of high school before I even decide to like do anything with coaching, because I don't want them to, I'm not trying to give them that abrupt thing just because it's something I want to do. In the meantime, I can continue to do the stuff that I'm doing in the community. I can continue giving back to kids, but eventually I'm going to.
So we can expect a mid-40s Wade Smith getting into coaching.
No question. Mid-40, yeah, somewhere around there, 42, 43.
43. Yeah, man, you know what? That's good. I wish you good luck in that.
Yeah.
Wade, it's time to finish the show, and I always ask, my guests to tell, do this one thing. If you have to share 3 things with future generations, kids, anyone who's hearing, this show, 3 things that you can share with, something that is your mantra in life, or something you want to pay it forward or move it forward or share it forward, what would it be?
Nothing worth having in life comes easy.
Nothing? Okay.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing worth having in life comes easy. That, to me, that's all encompassing. Like, if you really want something, and it's something important and something significant, it's going to take hard work. It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take adversity in order to achieve it. And once you do achieve it, there's nothing like it. And so nothing worth having in life comes easy. If it comes too easy for you, you're not going to appreciate it. You know what I mean? You're going to have to be able to grind and go through some things for you to truly appreciate what you accomplish in life. Like in order for me to live out my dream to be an NFL player, it took a lot. It took a lot of sacrifice. It took a lot of great decision making. It took a lot of blessings from God. It took a lot of things for me to make it. Hard work, weight room, on the field, mentally, educating myself, all that type of stuff. So nothing worth having in life comes easy. I think that's the most important thing.
All right. What is the number two?
Number two. Like I said, I think it's pretty much all encompassing, but making good choices. I mean, there's going to be times in life, a lot of times in life, where there's things that you want to do that can take away from things that you truly need to do in life and what you eventually want to be. So if you're a good decision maker, if you're willing to make sacrifices and do things that other people are not willing to do. There's a lot of people that are talented in this world, but the ones that run things, the ones that are decision makers, are the ones that make good decisions and are really willing to sacrifice some of that short-term gratification for long-term success. And so I think that's extremely important, that you make good decisions and that you are willing to sacrifice some of those kind of short-term wishes and wants for long-term success.
Awesome. That's a powerful one. Number three.
Learn something new every day. Like, continue to educate yourself every single day. And it doesn't mean that you have to, like, the only way you can educate yourself is to go to college. Nah, that's not what I'm saying. You educate yourself every day. Learn something new every day. If you don't learn something in that day, then to me that day was counterproductive. You didn't gain and you didn't grow as a person. And so learn something new every day. Have a conversation with somebody that you might not have otherwise had a conversation with, because you're going to pick up and gain knowledge for somebody that is not in your normal circle. You know what I mean? Or read a book that you might not otherwise read, or listen to something, or whatever you can do to gain knowledge and learn something, the better off you can be. I'm all about having people to eventually become bosses, right? Well, I've never met a boss that was a good boss and that lasted in any kind of business that was not intelligent. If somebody tries to tell you what to do, I tell kids this all the time. If somebody tried to tell you what to do and they didn't know what they was talking about, how would you look at that person? You look at them like what are you talking to? You're a clown right now. Like, what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah,
but
talking out of your ass.
Exactly. But the more that you learn, the more information that you gain in whatever specific field that you're trying to do, and just general knowledge, it makes you a more well-rounded person. It'll allow you eventually to grow into that role of being a boss. And so you have to have that intelligence in order to be that. And I mean, I've never come across a dumb boss. You know what I mean? If I have, then that person hasn't been a boss for a very long time. You know, they have a way of weeding yourself out. You can be a dumb boss if you might have inherited some money and you were given a role like, hey, he's the boss. But when you're around people like that, you can't respect them. You know what I mean? If somebody's telling you what to do and they don't know what the hell they're talking about, you don't respect what they have to say. And so I want to make sure that every young person that I come across understand that and try to further gain knowledge each and every day, because it's going to pay off in the long run.
Definition of a boss, since you've mentioned boss.
Definition of a boss.
Yeah. What is a boss to you?
A boss is a decision maker. A boss is the person that pulls the strings. It's the person that, you know, at the end of the day, they get to do what they need. They do what they want to do. You know what I mean? They of course they have to do what they need to do, but they can decide what's what. They're in control of the situation. I always like to be, or rather be in a situation where ultimately, if something goes wrong, it's on me, as opposed to being on somebody else. And so when you're in a position of a boss, you're delegating to other people, but the people you put in certain roles, that's on you. You hired that person. You brought that person in the fold. You had the ability to see something in that person that could help further the ultimate mission. And so I love to be in that role, and I love to see other people be in that role. Gotcha. Some people are not built to be bosses. Some people are built to be workers, and that's fine. But if you got that in you at all, you need to harness that and pull it out, because I would much rather that type of life for somebody than otherwise.
Now, we talked about Kobe Bryant earlier. I had heard an interview of Kobe Bryant that first time he went to the summer camp, he sucked.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, he kept practicing. And a couple of years later, he was one of the star players or whatever. Is there something that resembles to you? I mean, because you never thought that you'll play in NFL. How did you get to that high level of playing? Or the top performer? I
mean, I kept working, man. I kept gaining knowledge. I kept putting in work, man. Nothing worth having in life comes easy. That 10 years into the league, you get to the Pro Bowl. That was an amazing experience because I finally made it to the pinnacle of what I did. You know what I mean? But you have to continue to compete. You have to continue to grind. You have to outwork the next man. There's a lot of people that are really talented in this world. But if you can outwork somebody that is talented, hard work will beat great talent 10 out of 10 times. You know what I mean?
On that note, what is the advice you'll give to somebody who is watching this, listening to this, and saying, hey, you know what? I can't do this, but I want to do this. I mean, what advice will you give to them?
Well, first of all, I would tell you to take the word can't out your vocabulary. If you say that you can't do something, then you won't. You got to speak things into existence. If you truly believe in something and believe in yourself, you can do any damn thing you want to. Like that's a beautiful thing about the way things work. I mean, if you put your mind to whatever it may be, you can accomplish just a multitude of things. And so take can't out your vocabulary. If there's something that you're having trouble with, find somebody that doesn't have trouble with what you're having trouble with. Mm-hmm. Learn from them, gain knowledge from them. A lot of people want to teach you. There's a lot of people in this world that naturally take to people that are willing to work and willing to put in that grind. And like a lot of people that have made it, they can see and tell when somebody that's coming up underneath them or behind them, you can see they got that same drive, and you acknowledge that, and you want to try to cultivate that and make it come to fruition. I mean, that's the same thing Nipsey Hussle talking about. The marathon continues. Listen, what's your legacy? If somebody comes behind you and you help them become great, people they're gonna realize that this person, Sam took this person on his wing, and Sam brought these people along, and now they're doing huge things all over the world. And so if you're a person that's one of those people coming up, find those people that are in those roles that you want to be in. Try to learn from them. Try to, become interns for them, whatever it may be. But if you have the word can't in your vocabulary, you will not ever be successful in what you want to do. You got to eliminate that from your vocabulary and just figure out ways to make it happen.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time, and cool. Appreciate it, man.